Welcome one and all to the Tasty Times News Update 3, the weekly Tasty Planet Back for Seconds newspaper. This main story is that Final Bite speedruns are open now. On February 9th, the speedrun.com page for Tasty Planet Final Bite opened, allowing people to post their runs to the leaderboard. It was already stated that the world record was a 3:45 in the first news update. What has happened before and since that? Well, Final Bite released on January 23rd, 2026, and the first full-known game run was completed by Eleanor Lamb on the 24th. There was no video, but splits were shown, showing a 5:01:52. Eleanor hoped to get a sub-5-hour run sometime later, and would, but not before another runner entered the scene. On January 25th, Skunk Monkey struck with a 4:01:29.68, beating Eleanor by just over 1 hour. The 1 hour 22 second and 32 millisecond improvement did not have video either, but this one does show the splits for each IW, getting a 40:48 for the first one, a 1:17:21 for the second, 1:58:54, then 2:40:09, a 3:20:06, and the finishing time. Barely missing an hour barrier seemed to be a theme here. But then, on the 27th, the first sub-4 speedrun, and the first with video, would hit the scene, by Intharth, shaving 2 minutes and 17 seconds. How did he do it? Well, since the game was so new, the movement wasn't that good. The layouts of the levels weren't relearned, as you could see in Choose the Right Way. But Intharth exited the yarn ball with 38:32, 2 minutes 16 seconds faster, which, if you remember, this record was an improvement of 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Intharth would fluctuate between slightly behind 2:17 to slightly ahead the whole time, till the run ended with the sub-4. On January 28th, Intharth would get his 3:45, taking 14:12 off his previous record. He knew the game better and was faster overall. He would exit the yarn ball at 38:15, 17 seconds faster, and would continue running away. And then he exited the second world at 1:11:31, 4 minutes and 22 seconds faster than his previous run, and so on. That was where the world record stood when the leaderboards opened up. At least we thought. So far, all the information I could gain was from the Tasty Planet speedrunning Discord. Now that the leaderboards were opened up, anybody could share their records. And as it turns out, a mysterious runner by the name of Tasty Guy had achieved a 3:39:55 on February 2nd, a 5-minute, 5-second improvement. What was strange about this was that he had only joined speedrun.com the day he posted the run. He had exited the yarn ball at 32:23, 52 seconds faster than Intharth. But where he gained the most time overall was in the Hippo world, ending with a 4:36 lead compared to Intharth with a 1:47:36 to 1:52:12. And Tasty Guy would keep this lead and slightly grow it to the end. And now for the world records of this week, which aren't as daunting as last one. Distant Future 1 player was beaten by Jinx on February 7th with a time of 38:47.38, crushing Nestmaster GD's 336-day record of 40:39.52. Jinx beat this time by 1 minute 52.14 seconds by being pretty fast. But Jinx's real prize was a sub-35, and 1 day later, he did it, a 34:51.85, a 3 minute 55.53 improvement to this tough endurance test. Treeforts was beaten by, once again, Jinx. He had been going crazy this month, shaving 0.1 off of Dinodude's 63-day 34.82, with a 34.72. At this tank auto-scroller level, all Jinx could really do to move faster was after the tank had done its job, eating the trees and hoverboards a lot faster. Hippos and Houses 1 player was destroyed on February 7th, chopping 2.83 seconds off Dinodude's 71-day 145.42, getting a 142.59. Jinx uses the horses much better, not relying on the small people to get big. This optimization was so good it kept the lead throughout to take the record. Machine Laser 1 player was beaten by A. Jinx, B. Jinx, or C. Jinx? If you guessed all the above, you're wrong. There can't be 3 Jinxes. But he did get a 38.88, beating Dynadude's 63-day 39.73, cutting 0.85 seconds. In this record, he got a lot luckier with the cat spawns. This time, Dynadude got revenge by taking Jinx's Final Frontier one-player record, beating the 346.05 by 5.07 seconds with a 340.98. On February 7th, of course, Dynadude stuck to his route instead of Jinx's and went faster overall. Tea Time one player was beaten by Dynadude on February 7th, getting the first 15-second time by doing the first reroute in the level's history. In his 15.89, Dynadude cut into the left teapots in the beginning, and when level with the 4 teapots at the end, he went for them, and continued the level backwards. This beat Nestmaster GD's 6-day 15.159 by 0.259 seconds. Ancient Rome one player was beaten by Dynadude on finally February 8th, with a 10.31, beating Jinx's 10.43.38 by 12.94 seconds. Dynadude would beat Jinx's 3-day record by doing especially well on Shopping Spree because he had practiced it a lot. Feast one player was beaten by 0.119 seconds on February 8th by Dynadude, taking Nestmaster GD's 31.859 down to a 31.74. Dynadude added more small optimizations and went faster to secure this time. However, he failed to realize that this level was pretty fun, so I'm not joking, after a 2-minute grind, Nestmaster GD crushed it by 0.496 seconds. Dynadude wasn't having any of that though, so on the same day, he would hunt down a sub 31 second time of 30.99. With the use of smarter grape collection in the second split and skipping an oil lamp and replacing it with more olives, he saved 0.245 seconds to barely get that 30-second time. Munching on Mummies one player was crushed by Dynadude on February 9th, taking out Jinx's 48.78 with a 1.48 second improvement of 47.3. Dynadude collected papers to the right first and then proceeded with Jinx's route, adding in some optimizations near the mummies and ate away. Feudal Japan one player was beaten by yet again Dynadude on February 9th with a 936.64. This improved Jinx's 946.92 by 10.28 seconds. Dynadude was able to go faster by moving faster. From Ants to Tanks one player had the living daylights beaten out of it on February 10th, with Dynadude getting a 338.34, taking 10 seconds off his previous 66-day 348.85. 10 seconds is probably the biggest improvement to a single IL in the entirety of the Tasty Time so far, so congrats. Machine Laser one player was battered with a 37.98, beating Jinx's 0.9 seconds. Dynadude improved upon his 38.88 by getting even luckier with the cats at the end. The RNG needed for this is crazy. Treefort's one player was again demolished on February 11th by Dynadude, stealing 1.07 seconds from the auto-scroller level. The difference between Jinx's 34.72 and Dynadude's 33.65 was the hoverboard collection. He took cleaner circles to eat some, and omitted some unnecessary ones to end up with this enormously big win. Tasty Tanks one player was beaten from Nestmaster GD's 51.989 to Dynadude's 51.74, taking off 0.249 seconds on February 12th. Dynadude used an entirely different route to get to the tanks faster, completely ignoring the top right until the end. This route was good enough that even with a big screw up on missing one of the houses, he was able to shave off the time. Solar System Snack one player was beaten by 3.48 seconds by Dynadude on February 12th, taking his 68-day 240.77 down to 237.34. Throughout the run, Down Dude showed better movement and uses of the meteors. On February 12th, Distant Future would once again be beaten and battered with a 3357.86, taking down Jinx's 3451.85 by 53.99 seconds. To still take almost a minute off of this run with this length is ridiculous, and Down Dude has been going on a tear in Distant Future this week. Not to mention that this run he PB'd in all the way down by 9.81 seconds, getting a 14:08.14. Any Percent 2 Player by Van Canters and Afdusert was beaten, shaving 1 minute 22.067 seconds off of the 126.25.5 from 559 days ago to get a 125.07.433 on February 13th. This is the third new teammate Van Canterus has played with, switching this time from Van Can Little, but Van Canterus has been there the whole way. There were 20 records and 13 main ILs broken this week, bringing down the sum of best 27.348 seconds from 123.43.77 to 123.16.422. The longest lasting world records haven't changed at all still Nestmaster's 2-player records from 2023. Although I am actually planning to take my laboratory 2-player record down next week. And the world records holders is very clear. Nestmaster GD is still holding on to an enormous amount of bonus record, while Down Dude this week has been on an absolute tear, taking all the main competitive world records. Although rumor has it that an upset from one of these lower record players is about to change the very world record holder leaderboard entirely. And that is it for this week of the Tasty Times.